Hey everyone, today we're going to be talking about financing in Belize as a foreigner. I know for many of us, we grew up knowing that we can own real estate in our home country, typically with 20% down, in some cases 10% down, and get some decent deals from the bank in terms of mortgage, the length of your mortgage, and the interest rates. We all know that the interest rates are going up quite a bit, so maybe the financing wasn't as attractive in our home country as it is or was as it was previously, but we are still used to being able to put 20% down, we'll say, in financing the balance. In Belize, when you're buying real estate as a foreigner, it is very, very difficult to find a bank in here in Belize that will finance for you. So what I wanted to do was run through a couple of options and scenarios with you, give you a little bit more background about what it looks like to finance property in Belize as a foreigner. And then of course, you can get back to me with any questions that are on your mind and go through those with you. So we're going to just jump right in here. But I do want to highlight these important considerations for you. Again, I know this is a new country that you're exploring. This may be your first time buying real estate in Belize or even looking at real estate in Belize. And so it's really helpful to know this sort of information prior to even starting looking. So first and foremost, when you're looking at real estate prices, they do tend to be in US dollars. Transactions between foreigner and foreigner is done in US dollars. If you're a local, you're buying real estate from another local, that will be transacted in Belize dollars. But when you see prices, do anticipate that they are in US dollars, and also anticipate that you are going to be using US dollars. A lot of times when you're going through closing, you're going to be working with a real estate attorney or a closing attorney, and those agents typically have an escrow account that they'll be able to let you use, and then that will also be in US dollar. So just anticipate that the transaction will be in US dollar. We do have a full session on what that closing process looks like. So if you want that link, just feel free to search the YouTube channel here, or you can reach out to me there, and info@lunarealtybelize.com to get those details. In addition to that, most transactions are done in cash. If there is seller financing, it typically is only amongst 10 to 15% of the sales that are currently available where there is seller financing available. Now, with developments, let's say you're buying a new construction property or pre-construction property, typically there is some sort of developer financing, but that is not necessarily standard or standard practice here, but there are some developments that do offer that. In addition to that, banks in Belize just won't offer financing for foreigners. If you're not a resident or citizen here in Belize, the local banks will not even look at your application in order for you to finance. So you do have to get a little bit creative with how it is you can obtain that money. Now, if you are a local, meaning you're a resident or a citizen, you can go through the banks here: Belize Bank, Atlantic Bank, Heritage Bank. Those are the three banks that we have here in Belize. And you can apply for a loan or a mortgage. Typically, interest rates range anywhere from 8 to 18%. I've heard a lot more folks saying that they were on the higher end of that spectrum when it came to interest rates, which I know is unbelievably high. So what you want to do is really just try to find the best way to own real estate without having these high interest rates. Now, there are three options for you to consider. One is just preparing to pay in cash. As I mentioned, most of the transactions that happen here in Belize do happen on a cash deal or cash basis. But I would highly recommend that when you're sitting down and going through your budget, what can you reasonably spend? Add an additional 10% to that for the closing costs, because closing costs are never added in the purchase price, right? What you see listed, and then add another additional 10% on top of that, because that will include the closing costs, but you want to have that in cash. Now, if you don't, there could be two potential options for you. One of them is looking for property where there is seller or developer financing. I put on here the standard terms. Now, I know some sellers are a little bit more flexible, so you always just want to put in an offer, right? If you know that the seller is willing to finance, work with your agent to put in an offer and see what they'll accept. But standard terms is 50% down. So you as the buyer will put 50% down. Interest rate is usually around 7, 8, 10%. And then there is a three, it's usually short-term financing. So a 3 to 5 year term or 3 to 5 year balloon if you have a higher amortization year, but typically be prepared to pay off that loan within 3 to 5 years, or that balance within 3 to 5 years. If you are seller financing and you don't expect to receive the title until that last payment is received, you can work with the attorney on all that to make sure everything is documented properly and recorded properly. But just do note that that is the standard term. Again, put in an offer, see what the seller is willing to do. Work with your agent. Your agent probably knows a little bit longer about how long that property's been on the market, if there's a little bit more flexibility with them. But again, those are the standard terms. Number three, and this is what I've seen a handful of clients do, is they're able to get a line of credit from their bank in their home country, or they're able to get a refi their home in their home country as well. So that's something for you to do. If you're able to refi, if you're able to get a mortgage or a second mortgage against your home, you can take that cash and then use it to buy real estate in Belize. And that would really bring you up to number one, which is prepare to have the cash, right? So you've acquired the cash through financing, refinancing your current home. These are the three that I've seen. I know there is one bank here in Belize that does offer financing. It is fairly difficult to get financing with them. We can always explore that avenue if it's something that you're looking at, but I do know their interest rates do tend to be on that 8, 10, 12% range. So you just need to be aware of that too. So hope this was helpful. Just want to make sure you're going in prepared. And then my last point there is the tip. Just if you're working with a real estate agent, let them know that you are needing to finance. I think that's important. I've worked with a handful of clients, and sometimes they don't like to disclose that information, but for efficient use of everyone's time, be honest, be upfront with what you have and see what's out there. I know a lot of times people are like, all right, I have a budget of $100,000 and I can put $20,000 down. Unfortunately, that's not really going to go too far here in Belize right now, especially if you're looking for a finished product. But talk to the agent. Maybe there are some great deals out there. Maybe there's some flexibility with what you're able to do, but just have that understanding as you are looking at your real estate here in Belize. With that, feel free to reach out, folks. If anything pops to mind, best email address for me down there is info@lunarealtybelize.com. And I hope to see you here in paradise soon. Bye, everyone.